Hey, what's going on? Strat Soldier here with the weekend shift, and we got a good one for you today. Second show of the year. It is gonna. Oh man, this one's gonna be a really good one. I'm getting the chills. I got my coffee to try to calm me down, so when I get too excited, I can grab my cup and be cool. We got special guest Rob Smith on this one. I'm telling you, this is going to be great. I hope you're on here live. How many people in the chat? We got all kind of people out here. We got Sunshine from the UK. We got Swiss Man from Switzerland. I'm not going to lie, there's a big long name in here. Sorry, buddy, I can't pronounce that, but from the Netherlands. That is awesome. We are global. Kate, Gangster out there. Rhonda from always shows up in the Dang Strat show. Awesome. John, Sylvia. The weekend shift group is out here, and we got a lot more. How is everybody doing out there? We got 30 people in the chat. Come on, give me 50 and then give me 100. I gotta have 50 before you give me 100, right? So, get me going, get us going. Heck yeah. And then also everybody, you are live, so you get to talk to Rob live. We'll be fielding your questions. We'll be going some, if you want to do charts, we'll do chart requests as well. And then we're going to be looking at the big boy charts. All right, the macro charts, the quarterly and the yearly charts. You want to talk about a head and shoulders pattern on a daily chart? Here's a quarterly chart. There goes your head and shoulders. It's gone.
Vaporized.
Vaporized. So real quick, let me go through the broader averages real fast just before this get Rob going. But I got to talk to you about what is going on and how we trade, because we believe there are only three ways anything can trade. Scenario 1, 2, and 3. So you know what we're talking about, because we are talking to the people that's never seen this before. Let's turn the labels on for the kids in the back. All right, we believe there are only three ways anything can trade. Scenario 1 is an inside bar. Okay, this is S&P 500 on the weeklies. All right, see this bar right here? That is an inside bar. All right, doesn't take out either side of the previous range. Right, let me get my little yellow arrow out here. Arrow, there you go. Bam, inside bar, doesn't take out anything outside of the previous range right here. Scenario 2 only takes out one side of the previous range. It could be a 2 up or a 2 down. That's a scenario 2. All right. And then here's your scenario 2 down. All right. Despite if this is green, it's still a 2 down. All right. There's a misconception out there that if it's green and it's a 2 down, it's blah. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. What I'm saying is, if it's down, if it's a scenario 2 down, takes out one side of previous range to the downside, that is a 2 down. And then you got your scenario 3, and this is where people freak out. Scenario 3 takes out both sides of previous range. Look at that. That means they bought it up and they sold it down in the same time frame. Someone on Twitter told me, why is that a big deal? You know, whoopity-doo. If they sold this thing up and then I went to work and I'm not looking at charts no more, and then I come back and it's down at, 464, and I got in at 479. I want to know about that. I want to know about it now. So scenario 3 takes out both sides of previous range. Super important. And on a smaller time frame, that is a broadening formation. And there are 3 universal truths here in the strat: actionable signals, time frame continuity, broadening formations. Now, you guys know how this goes. I got all 4 charts up just like this, and so does Rob. And so does Michael Dang. I got the monthly, the yearly, I got the monthly, the weekly, the daily, and the 60. Okay. This shows me time frame continuity. All right. And that's just based on color. So I can see what participation groups are most aggressive. Okay. Is it the buyers or the sellers? All right. Now
so let's keep it on the SPY for a second, because I haven't put out the weekend vid. I'll do that this afternoon. But
okay, go ahead.
There's a couple important aspects that we're looking at here. And so if you look at that weekly in the upper right, this is an issue that we're going to start off the week with. How are you going to get out of there? You look at that range and look where we closed. And we're nowhere near taking out the highs of the lows of the week. Right. So there's a lot of charts that look like this. As I started going through stuff, that's an issue, because ideally what we want to do is we want to have a lot of 2s in the same direction. which in this case, in a lot of cases, we're not going to have outside of the energy that we'll talk about probably later. If you go to the daily in the upper left, all right, oftentimes you'll hear me talk about patience. People, especially a lot of guys will come in, after the weekend, especially desperate people, pouring through a ton of charts, being like, I gotta make some money. And they come in Monday morning, get chopped up. And, by the time the real move actually happens, they're either out of powder or just exhausted. So if you look at the daily, the upper left, even if you only traded Tuesday, the 2-2 reversal up there, everything was a 2 up. Yep. And then Thursday was a 2-2 reversal to the downside. If you only traded those 2 days, you made your whole week.
Yep.
Right. And so patience is, a lot of times you'll hear me, especially if you're in the chat room, was like, maybe. Okay, it's on. It's on. It's on. It is on. These things are going out on the lows, right? And that was Thursday, because the market's going to trade in the direction of the most 2s and failed 2s going 3. And so on Thursday, almost everything was a 2-2 reversal to the downside, almost everything. Mm-hmm. And especially it was heavily weighted in tech. And that's when those things really got destroyed. And we also know that you had that slight higher high for the reversal. So you're coming back to a previous range. That was perfect. That's ideally what we want, especially, and Tuesday as well, you go into new recent lows and then have that reversal back to the previous range as well. So those were 2 really good days where, we have a higher level of probability. That's what we want, right? Oftentimes, it's like, all right, then the next day, nothing, right? You see that doji on the top, and then Friday gaps down and rallies back a little bit, which is not what we wanted, because that's going to put us back in the middle of the weekly range. Right. It doesn't mean you don't trade and there's nothing to do. It's just, we want that higher level of probability. And that's where you have that confidence and being like, where's it going, Rob? Down there. It's going up there. It's like, where's it going up? I don't know. Yeah. And then it's case by case basis. And as we've seen this year so far, we've known it's been the energy because of those macro lists. But I wanted to point that out because another point that we're going to go, if we go to QQQ.
Yep, let's do it. Let's just go ahead and do it. Here's Rob. I was going to do your really cool intro, hear ye. Here is Rob Smith. But let's just do it. Let's just get into it and do it. Here's QQQ. You want me to go down to, we can go to single charts now if you want to do that.
No, it was good. It's like, you can see it's very similar on the daily upper left. Yep. 2-2 reversal to the upside. And then that big Thursday slammer. Yeah. The Thursday slammer. Everything was going out in the lows and we knew about that. Mm-hmm. And then if you go over to the weekly, and I was out for most of that week, and JJ was with you on that. I was actually in for the slammer day on that, though. But that 2-2 reversal week, we knew about that because that's a slight higher high, and it's going to go down and take out the lower low. And so now you have your broadening formation on that weekly. And the question is, how are we going to get outside of that? Look where the Qs are in relation to the highs and the lows of this week. It's not going to be easy to not be an inside week, right? And so we're going to be aware of that, especially we got some earnings coming out. And then on the lower left is the 1 hour. Yeah. And you can see here, like when it opened, it gapped down a little bit, then rallied back. And then that's a mother bar. If you no, you go down the end of it.
I goofed up my arrow there. I was just showing the 2-2 reversal back up.
Yeah, but we spent the entire day in the opening range until the close. Right until the close. Yep. And so that's something you want to know about because it's doing nothing. I mean, you get killed in there. And that's why, we were hoping for more of that tech wreck because it was so good on Thursday, but the evidence wasn't there. And we had, as I talked about in the STRAT time report on Friday, is like you had a lot of back and fill coming back in the SMHs, your AMATs, your KLACs, your LRCX was up huge. I was like, so if you were looking for that re-wipe out, it just wasn't there. It just wasn't going to happen, right? And that's why we want to look at everything as far as the sectors and the stocks in there to see where are they in relationship to their opening and what scenario are they. And so a mistake a lot of people will make is looking at the broader averages and say, I think SPY support is here and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I'm like, here's everything that's in the SPY, and here's what they're doing, right? That's going to tell you what's happening, right?
Yeah. Yep. I want to, yep. Just real quick. I want to, exactly. And I want to talk about people talking about this ORB, what was that, opening range breakout?
Right.
Okay. So, and then another thing people are talking about, whether it's a fake out, blah, blah, blah. No, 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 no. Here's the 60s. Okay. Here's the 60s on QQQ. I'm trading the breakout opening range. I'm buying right here. You know what I mean? I don't know. And they're usually doing this on a 5-minute chart. So it's something goofy. Let's go back to the 60s. Anyway, it's something goofy. You get in here, you get in this nasty thing here, and then you're chopping around for 2 hours. It actually goes 2-2 reversal back down on these 60s, and then rallies back, comes reverses back up, and then you get chopped up for 2 hours. And then you come in here and tell me the strat doesn't work. Well, you jumped in on some dumb stuff because you're not looking at the broader averages. You're not looking at time frame continuity or the higher time frames. So, I mean, we can go down to a 5-minute chart and see where people would probably get in on like I said, a reversal back up into that, trying to catch the bottom, but then you just got chopped around all day long. And Rob, you say this all the time, just be patient, wait till 12:30, Eastern Standard Time, that's 11:30 your time. And here comes the strat time report. Perfect time to be watching the strat time report because we go 2-2 reversal back up on the 60s and boom, it's gone. Right. And set your stops and work some stuff that's actually going to the upside instead of trying to do some ninja stuff. Just be a tank. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
As I like to say when people are trying to bottom pick, I'm like that's like betting on the Detroit Lions to win the Super Bowl. I'm like, they're oversold. They I think next year's their year. I'm like, something, I'm just going to stick with Tom Brady till it doesn't work.
Yeah. And then exactly, and same thing with oh, that's so funny. I like that. That's a good one. I like that one. Yeah, why bet on a football team that's not going to win? Palantir, you know what I mean? Palantir. I can't wait to talk about the macro charts because you're just like, oh, it's gonna. Okay, yeah, it might do it. It could.
It's due.
Anything can happen, but not. It's not happening today. Not happening today.
Or because you'll see people that'll just get into positions and say, well, I'm gonna open a position and hope I'm wrong. I'm like, you want to lose? They're like, no, I want to buy more cheaper. I'm like, there's something called the time value of money. I'm always like, well, how long you planning on living? It's like, I want my money now. I don't know about you. I want to get paid now. It's like, oh, well, over time. I'm like, over time, how much time do you think you have? Like, right?
Yeah, because we can look at Labu charts, things in Labu biotech and stuff like that. Like there are things on the macro list that if you bought it thinking it was going to keep going up, that actually takes out the lows, and it took out the lows of the broadening formation, and it's lower. It didn't go to zero, but it sure does daggone look like it. I mean, it is bad.
Yeah, that's what I say. It's like, sometimes I'll say it's like it didn't go to zero, but it feels like it did. It's about the same.
Red means sell. My goodness.
And the people and people say I can't sell it because I'm at a loss. I'm like, what? Like, I'm gonna hold it until it comes back to not being a loss. I'm like, okay. It's like, how about that? How about this? How about you don't shave until it gets back to even? And let's see how long your beard is by the time you get your money back. All right.
Oh my gosh. That's great. I was talking to one of our really good traders, Sunshine. She's in a separate group with us. And I told her about my, you got the one about the bus, getting on the bus that's going the wrong way. I got the similar analogy, but it's with getting in a car to go to work. Okay. You're getting in your car. I got to be at work. I need to be there. And you get on the highway, and because traffic and things like that, you merge on the wrong thing. And then all of a sudden you realize I'm going the wrong direction. And you sit in your car and you go, okay, I know I'm going the wrong direction, but I'm not going to turn around until I'm down. I'm at a full tank of gas right now, and I'm not turning around until I'm at half. There's no way I'm going to turn around and I'm going to, hopefully I get to work before I'm at a half a tank of gas. And that's dumb. And that's the same thing what people do with, set your stops at 50%. I think it's dumb, and only guarantees that you're going to lose half of your capital in that trade if it goes against you. with a 50% stop. So, like I said, if it doesn't make sense when you're driving and it sounds stupid out loud when you say it, then don't do it. It's stupid. It's stupid. It's stupid. I'm gonna keep driving until I'm down to a half tank of gas before I get off on an exit and start going the right direction. That's dumb.
So now we can call them bad positions ZZ Top. It's like, nice beers you got there. See you coming back, dude. I got news.
Oh, yeah. Oh, geez. ZZ Top.
You can't shave until you're even.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Oh, what about diamonds? Let's look at diamonds, because they were, I don't know, it's been good, but I don't know, it's still chopped around, still looking like the other ones. 2-2 reversal down on the month. But
on the week, it's a 2-2 reversal on the week. And yeah, the diamonds actually held up a little bit better because you got the strength in CAT and, believe it or not, IBM.
Yeah.
Boeing.
Boeing.
Yeah, Boeing. So, those things are holding up. Right now, there's a lot of, you got some earnings coming up. There's a lot of wait and see. Obviously, they've been piling into the energy. We've known that. And, when I talk about patience again, if you want to pull up the OIH real quick.
Yep. OIH. That's actually in the macro list here.
So the OIH, if you go to the 60.
All right, I'm going to pull up single. Here's all 4 charts, but I'm pull up singles if that's cool with you. Go ahead.
So not only can you see that big green bar, right? That was a 2-2 reversal.
Yeah.
Right. And then if you go to Friday here, you're going to see
2-2 reversal up.
Yeah, I thought we had a rev strat on that 60, unless you got a different 60 than I do.
No, my 60 start at the bottom of the hour.
Okay, because I'm having that red 60 inside that hammer on mine.
There's a rev strat right here.
Yeah, but this one at in the mother bar, the big green one. On my chart, I have that as an inside bar. That second red bar is inside. So
this one right here. Yep.
No, the next one. The next one, I have that inside on mine. So I don't know if I'm wrong or not. It doesn't really matter because you still have that green poke down to reversal to the upside.
Bam, right here.
Yeah. Yep. And if you had to wait 3 hours, right?
Yes.
And so the problem is, people more often than not, people just get bored than anything else and be like, it's not doing anything. And I'm like, not yet. You gotta let it set up. Let it set up. Stop them out. They will.
Yeah. And then yep. And that speaks to people too, that okay, so maybe you got in here and it's not doing anything, there's no reason, and then here's your ad. But then you also have people that say, well, Rob's saying OIH to the highs and I missed it. I'm like, no, you didn't miss it. Just wait. Either you drop down to a lower time frame and try to find a reversal back into the 60 reversal that's happening right now on the major time frame, or you just wait. And if you just waited, bam, there's now this is a rev strat, but I'm going to say, I see this 2-2 reversal hammer and force right here. A slight hammer, but 2-2 reversal, because that's easy for me to see. And now I'm in at 223.73. I'm in, set my stops, and it's gone. And I don't have to worry about it anymore. Now I can go cut the grass in the wintertime, whatever dumb stuff I want to do.
Right. It's also Friday and you've got 3 hours left. So you got cheap options. You've got a lot of different things you can do with it. Also, it's Halliburton and Slobber so heavily weighted in there that you can watch all 3 of those. And you've got Helmrich Payne, I believe, is a month and upper, HP, and being able to watch all of them line up together, because you'll hear me talk about simultaneous breaks. Right. That's important. It's like, so if you looked at the OIH when it did that and you looked at everything in the OIH, almost everything was a 2 up on the 60.
Yep.
High probability that's going to work. Right. And that also means that you can go grab all of them. Right. Everyone's like, well, here's my favorite. I'm like, there is no favorite. My favorite's the one that goes up the most.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know which one that's going to be, but if I get them all and they're all profitable, then the ones that stop me out are the ones that weren't as strong. The ones that don't, by the end of the day, all I have left is the strongest of the strong.
Exactly right. And here's Halliburton. Here's Slob. Slob was already working.
Yeah,
So
Slob was already strong.
Slob was all. I've been working Slob. Let's say I've been working Slob for the last since the year started, and I'm staying on Slob. And what was the other one you said? Slob, Halliburton,
Helmut Payne, HP.
HP. Here's HP. That was also working all day long. Two, 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 two. What do I know? How do I know where I need to be? Look at the green. Look at the snare of twos up. Look at that.
Right. And so when you see the OIH dip and then give you that reversal, there's no reason to believe something that's still going up in the OIH is going to go down when the OIH reverses back up.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason to believe that. So why would that happen? It wouldn't. Right now you've got, because now you've got the tailwind of the ETF itself helping you out, where before it was dragging you, but you didn't care. I mean, the buyers didn't care. Like,
yeah.
They're like, oh, age ain't going down, dude. Just so you know, we might stop some people out, but and then another thing that's great about what's going on in the energies too is you've heard me talk about used to be somebody, and when oil went negative last year down to minus 36 a barrel, a lot of these guys were in trouble and they'd had to do reverse splits, right? And usually that trick doesn't work, but in this case, now that the commodity itself has come back, that's a good thing, because if you look at if you go way back on like ERX and OIH, you'll see these reverse splits, WLL, and these guys, you know, on a reverse split basis, you know, we're over 1,000 a share.
Yeah.
And, yeah, right. So, you know, you get the crude to stay up like this. These things got a lot more juice than you might think, as well as, you know, especially, you know, after a nice move in the market we've had in the last few years, that a lot of things are going into all-time highs, or we call that exhaustion risk. Now I don't know. Once we go into all-time highs, I don't know. But we've been talking about this, you know, all through last year and into this year, that most energy names have been a lot higher in the past. They're nowhere near all-time highs. Right. And so if you go back, way back, it's similar to tech, where the tech bubble of the .com era in 2000, you would have thought these things never would have come back up to those levels. No way. I mean, it took, you know, 15, 20 years for a lot of these things, but they did, right? They came all the way back, and be like, so once we got up there, you're like, well, are you going to tell me that AMD or what have you hasn't made any progress in 20 years to where it was valued 20 years ago, and saying, well, they've had 20 years to get their act together, right? I'd be like, all right. So, I mean, and the Qs and everything came all the way back and took out those manic highs of the .com era. And so energy may be similar to that. Say, well, you know, they kept it down. They took crude itself negative. They say, you know, oh, it's all EV and everything's going to be electric and all this. And yet crude comes roaring back. Right. Yet crude comes roaring back. Right. And so what you're going to see is like a lot of funds underweighted it. And even Kramer himself was talking for the years. He's like, oh, the millennial hedge fund guys are just dumping it anytime they have a chance. They don't believe in, you know, fossil fuels. And I'm like, all right.
Exactly.
Tell it to the Saudis. Like, here we come.
Exactly.
Here we come.
Exactly.
So, that's why it's had our attention for so long. We knew last year that they were green on the year, but had a big distance to go on the macro list to take out and not be an inside year. So we knew that, but it was bright green. So we had the continuity. And if that works, we got what we got these first 2 weeks of the year. Now we got inside year and up. Right. So we get that additional push that we didn't have last year. And if you go to the monthly S&P SPY, it's very similar to the pandemic. Second quarter.
I know where you're going with this. Heck yeah.
The second quarter.
Look at that. I already got my arrow there.
Right there. You already got the arrows right there.
Boom. And I was showing a buddy about this yesterday. That's why I had an arrow on this thing. This thing was a 2-1-2 reversal up on the to the upside in May when you had COVID rampant, you had riots in the streets, everybody's going nuts, and you're telling me that tech's at all-time highs, and you're telling me tech's doing really good because fundamentals and blah blah blah. BS. They're trading price action. And 2-1-2 reversal up on the month on the most famous 2-1-2 reversal in the SPY. But then you got this sub try up here everybody's freaking out about. but yeah, that's amazing. That's beautiful right there. That go ahead with the SPY on the month. Sorry, go ahead.
And like I said, it's like that was also April, which was a new quarter. So you had quarterly, monthly, weekly, daily, and 60 continuity.
Mm-hmm.
And as I wrote in the article for Steve Burns about algorithmic trading, at that point, we were going after things that were green on the year. So we had full time frame continuity, yearly, quarterly. That was just shop, Teslers. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, and then also anything that was reversing there at the same time. Mm-hmm. In April, anything taking out the March highs, because in March, everything got destroyed. Yeah. But if you took out those highs, and that would be your Wayfair, your Amazons, I'm like, those things mm-hmm. just blasted off, because I'm like, okay, so everybody has to stay home. Nobody can do anything. Amazon can deliver everything you want, and you think this is bad for them? Like, you'd be wrong. Yeah. Right? And Wayfair, we're all going to stay home and shop, and that's all we're going to do because that's all we can do. Yeah. But like I said, that's where that energy trade is similar to that right now. And there's that hammer there that going back on the low. No, right on the low, that 2020. You got it. It's there.
That's W. That's Wayfair.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Go to that hammer on the low.
Oh, right here. Bam. Look at that. Yeah. Love it. Let me point that out for the kids in the back there. Bam. Yeah. Oh. Gone. Where do I go? I don't know where to go. Maybe here.
Yeah.
Reversal to the upside. Hammer and force. Love it. Love it.
Right, because anybody who was short back then, they got what they wanted. The market got destroyed. But as soon as we have a new quarter and we start recovering, anybody taking out those March highs is what we're going after. So, most importantly, when we talk about this energy trade, is that just like on any given day, where we were looking at the SPY, where it was 2-2 reversal on Tuesday, it was a 2-2 reversal on Thursday, is the amount of breaks in the same direction on a certain time frame. And so when you have all these monthlies and yearlies and everything breaking in the same direction, you can see how powerful this move has been just in 2 weeks, mm-hmm. right? Where you have, I was joking around on Twitter last night about guys with my top pick for 2022. I'm like, dude, you're down 30% in 2 weeks. Yeah. It's like, I'm like, we don't tell them, they tell us mm-hmm. where to go. And so once those breaks started to occur, we knew that. I mean, the inside and up on the yearly is all energy. That's it, and that's like, and that list continues to grow every day. So if you go to the XLE daily, look at this year. I mean, look at an OIH daily. I mean, these things. Yeah. I mean, I don't think they've had a lower low.
Yeah. Let me
tough to see there.
Yeah, hold on. This trading view. Hold on. There we go. Look at them. Look at them dailies.
You got one lower low on the daily. That's it.
So again, you're sitting there. Well, I missed it. Okay. No. You didn't miss it. Here's your 2-2 reversal. Okay. Back up, hammer and force. I love them hammers. All right. So you didn't get on that one. You missed that one. Okay. Fine. No problem.
Look at the first day of the year is a giant spike, 2-2 reversal. And if you caught that, you'd be like, I'm going to hold it for the rest of the year. I'm good. Look at that. 186 to 228 in 2 weeks. Yeah. I'm like, I don't have to do anything.
You don't have to do anything. And then so on those macro, and here's three times you could have got in on this. So here's your 2-2 reversal down here. All right, you missed it. Fine. Here's your 2-2 reversal right here on the daily. Okay. And then if you missed that one, fine. Here's another 2-2 reversal at 212. 212.81. And there's going to be a lot more opportunities, and that goes back to what you say all the time too. If it's really going to go, you can get in there. You'll get a chance. They'll triangulate out, and then you're in. But then if you got Dan way down here, these are your ads. I want to point that out to everybody. That's your ad. That's right. Your ad.
And, also when you have simultaneous break, which means there's a high concentration of signals for any given sector or everything, it also opens up your universe where you can see a bunch of different stocks and say, well, I want to get into the broader average, the broader ETF, but I can also go after some of these stocks. Like they will triangle them out, and they do. And so,
And they do. Yep.
right. And so at any given day, you can be watching your Exxons, Amerada Hess, Chevron, EOG, PXD, and PXD was, one of the stronger on Friday, and that's why it was in the. That's why it was in the. It was in the strat time report, because when I'm looking at everything, I can see in any given day, are they buying everything, or are they starting to focus on a few names? And they were certainly here. If you go to a 15-minute.
15-minute. Let me get this guy off here. I was just trying to put some reversals up. 15-minute. All right, here we go. 15 minutes.
Okay, and you can see that red bar, and then you see the two down right there. 2-2 reversal, and boom, off she goes to the hush.
Boom.
Perfect. Perfect.
Love that. Love that 2-2 reversal back up. There's no thinking on that. And again, it's easier if you're trading commons. That's me. That's just me. And I could get in there. I can set my stops and walk away. Go do something else. I don't have to stare at the charts.
Right, because not all of them were really gunning as much until later. But one of the reasons I have so many screens and I'm watching so much stuff is I can, and why in the strat time report I talked about this, I'm like, because I can see it's relatively stronger than the group itself, which is already a strong group, right? So on Friday, they were definitely coming into the PXD, and you just wait for it, triangle out, and then get. And that's it. They will. Right? I'm like, if people are like, don't get the FOMO. You can see these guys. I'm like, just piling in there. I'm like, oh, it's a breakout. I'm gonna buy it on the new high. I'm like, are you? Like, all right, better stay up there. It's like
it better stay up there.
Right. Yeah. We like people to get stopped out. We know that people will have tight stops and get stopped out and freak out and take their profits. But if it's not changing the longer term continuity, that's where a lot of people ask me about what's triangle day out mean. I was like, that means they're going to stop some folk out, which they will, and they'll form a broadening formation, because that's how price action works. And that's where you can get in. Sometimes things go gangbusters, and it might only be on a 1-minute chart, and be like, all right, well, that's not me, so we'll just let it go. I'm like, you can't grab them all. But that's one of the advantages of having a simultaneous break in a sector, is that you have that opportunity to gauge the strength and weakness of all of them against each other. And then oftentimes, during real powerful days, you can grab everything in sight. And I think somebody was asking me that this week when we had a strong day that Tuesday with the energy. And I was like, he's like, which ones do you like? I'm like, all of them. I'm like, all of them? I'm like, buy them all. I'm like, they're even buying rig. Dude, I mean, they're buying everything. I'm like, I'm in. Right.
Yeah. And then the only problem you got with the strat is you don't have enough capital, because it's all working. It's all working. Right. And we set our stops, tight stops. Okay. So let's just say I try to go with 4 to 5 winning positions, and then I'll keep it there because that's what I can manage. But if you got 5 winning positions, number 4 stops you out, and because they're done. Okay. So you keep pushing your stops up, you get stopped out with profit. And then your other 4 are working, and you keep pushing those up until those drop out, or they don't. So you got 2 choices. You either push your stops up until you get stopped out with profit, or you put your stops even, and you say, this ain't never coming back, and I'm working this thing. And I want to point out for PXD, people are telling me, I missed the move. It already went up so much percentage during the morning, and then it dropped down. Why would I get in on this in the afternoon? This is at 2:30 in the afternoon, Eastern Standard Time. That's 1:30, Chicago. And it went up. I mean, bam, look at that reversal back up. So when you got those people are saying, the morning is the best time to trade, that's not necessarily true. Wait for the reversals, listen to Rob. You can't, you can have all the scanners in the world, but you got to have somebody looking at the charts and seeing you, and you got to look at it yourself, but you got to have somebody out there looking at the entire market all at once. And that's what Rob does for us. He's the world's greatest assistant. So he can see what's going on. I mean, he's at the, the best analogy I like. He's like, he's flight control, you know what I mean? Command, you can see all the planes, and you can see where everything's going. And, I want to listen to that guy. And that's where you come in at, Rob, and you help us stop doing, not do dumb stuff.
Right.
It's great.
It's a Friday, and depending on,
Mhm.
different ways that we gauge magnitude, once that 2-2 reversal kicks in at 213.79, you say, well, I can get some common. And then once I make a little bit of money on that, I want to try and maybe look at the 215 calls and say, well, these things only got an hour left. And what are these things trading at? And let's say that that's half of my profit that I've already made in the common. I can't lose. Now, if it goes through that 215er and goes up to 216, I might 2-3 times my money, right? So there's a lot of those aspects too that I like to remind people of on Friday. And one of the things I've said for forever is like that trading's best done as a 2-person job, right? Because the good thing about the strat is we all agree on the same criteria, right? It's just a matter of managing that and looking into the different aspects and me monitoring stuff and saying, okay, well, here's our different alternatives we can do. We can do the common, we can look for this, we can, our stops are going here. Because anybody, all traders, everybody to a certain extent certainly trades by themselves, right? You got your account, it's you hitting the keys, and that's what's going on. But we know that a team effort is always going to be better because we agree on the criteria. Therefore, we have less subjectivity, and we can also remind each other that this is right, this is wrong, right? And try to eliminate the emotions out of it as much as you possibly can. And one of the good things about that is also that when you're training the strat to learn to trade the strat, it can be much quicker because anybody that's traded on a simulation with is not using the strat, and everybody makes money. And then as soon as they go live, killed. And I'm like, right? And I'm like, I almost thought about setting up a shop to train people how to trade, telling they were on simulator. And then once they wanted to go live, tell them no and have them really on real money. And because everybody makes money when they do that. That's because subjective trading is going to have a lot more emotions tied to it. Right. The good thing is, but the strat is you can use a simulator because it's the exact same thing. Right. It's like, I'm still going to be doing the exact same thing. Right. And so, that's a huge advantage as far as learning curve, because you'll see and hear people that don't trade the strat saying you need a lot of screen time. And I'm like, really? You're going to tell me I got to stare at a screen for 10 years before I'm going to make any money? I'm like, I got to make a living. I'm like, I don't have screen time money. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, we need to be up to speed as soon as possible. And some people get the strat in 5 minutes and other people it takes a little bit longer, but I'm very happy that, that even for the people that takes a little bit longer, they see it. It's just a matter of their execution and organization of what they're going to execute. And because we know I talk about a lot of things, and there's basically an unlimited amount of signals during the day. And more often than not, people will just get overwhelmed by that. And so just like we were talking about being patient and saying, waiting for the setups, oftentimes people will just get overwhelmed and be like, there's so many signals I don't want to take. I'm like, focus on this. Here's your group. Here's your thing, right? Wait for it. And don't worry about what anybody else is doing. That's not your job. All right.
Right.
And if you don't trade today, you don't trade today. And some people, they can't even fathom that. Sitting in front of the screens all day and not trading once. And I'm like, ain't there. The The good thing is, it's like in in baseball, we don't have to swing. They can pitch all day, man, but I don't have to swing. I'm going to wait for my pitch because that is not my pitch.
That's right.
It's not my pitch. I'm just going to wait and wait. And if he doesn't throw it down the pipe for me today, well, I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah. And that's all that goes back to foul. I mean, yeah, I like that baseball analogy because you can have a foul ball. All right, I got stopped out. All right, another foul ball, I got stopped out. Fine. Fine. But and then you finally strike one. It's not a home run, but daggone, it gets you on first base. And then again, I love saying this. You get on first base, you set your stops. All right, it's still going. All right, I'm stealing second. Bam. And now I set my stops at first base. Just for example, now I'm on second. Put my stops here. Now I'm going third. I want to go all the way home. But I'm telling you, I love pushing my stops out. I love pushing my stops up and getting stopped out with profit. There's a lot of questions in the chat, and I love that baseball analogy. I think it's fantastic. And man, Rob, you had so much. You said so much stuff. Every time you say the way you talk about the strat and talk about the overall market, it makes so much sense. I have like 3 things I want to say, and by the end of it, I'm just like, he already answered that. Like, it's so much in there. It's amazing.
The patience is, with the baseball too. It's like ball 10. Nope. Ball 11. Nope.
Nope.
Boom. Here we go.
Yep.
And like you said, getting on base is creating the winning position. And then if they make any mistakes, leave them home. Here we go.
Let's go.
It's like,
let's go. Yep. You're on first base. I'm in slob and SLB. If I'm on first base, cool. And then like you said, here it comes. They're waving you home. Now you start taking. There's a simultaneous break. You get on Chevron. You get in OIH. You get in HL. You get in Halliburton. You get in these other ones, and now you take them all home. PXD. You work it.
Right. And another important part about this break in the energy too is that, you always hear me talking about sectors and subsectors. And the thing about it is that you've had the OIH, XLE, XOP, as well as the refiners, PSX, MPC. It's been across the board in energy. So that's always a good thing. It's like, because that way you can still diversify by being in a refiner, being in an OIH or in an XOP or an XLE, and then if any one of them fails, who cares? The other ones will be the strong. But so far, they're all working, and that's where you want to be. And so, obviously, it's only 2 weeks in, and so people like, I missed it. I'm like, this trade's good all year, as far as I know, and so it could have 2 down months, right, and still be good on the yearly. And then set up the 2-2 reversal month. So, I mean, there's so much opportunity here. And we know we had the simultaneous break last year in the XLE to set it up. And, that's one of the great things about having the videos and everything recorded. You can go back at any point in time and like, were we talking about that? I'm like, we were. We were. Is it still good? It's still good. And if this works. So, I like to reiterate a lot of stuff that I say just to pound it into people's heads, but you always want to be forward thinking about if your trade works out, what's the next step? Where there's people that will, like Sarah will take her short-term magnitude, or a lot of options people, because of the theta burn and stuff, will take that. It's going from here to there. That I do know. After that, I don't know, and just take it. And that's great. It's a great style. However, if we're always being forward thinking, so if we looked at the XLE last year, we'd say, okay, well, if this works, it's going to set up, still going to be an inside year, but it's going to be a lot closer to taking out the inside year to the upside than the downside, right? It's right there. It's right there. And boom, right out the chute, the first day of the year, takes it right out, right? I'm like, and that's ideally what we want. It's like when we watch the flip with the 60 minutes, ideally we want that 60 to break as soon as possible, because that gives us the rest of the hour to go after signals. So we want these things to break. Ideally, a yearly break on the first day of the year, that's the best thing we could ever hope for. And you can see how strong that's been.
So that goes into what, so talking about the macro, charts. That's what I'm a tank. That's where I'm gonna be at, the quarterly, the yearly. Here it goes. This goes into Josh Taylor's question. He doesn't understand. He says, I don't quite understand the semantics of how a 2-1-2 up on the year goes up on the quarter, like I do the 2-1-2 on the year. I understand that we are with the hour, we are setting off other traders' stops, but with the quarter. I think he's talking about how he doesn't understand how we're taking out stops on the yearly. Is that right there? Is that right, Josh?
Okay, essentially, it's not always a matter of taking out stops. What it is doing is anybody who got short last year is underwater. Everybody, right? Everybody, right? And so if anybody was trying to lean on this trade, say, I'm going to be short, I think energy is going to roll over, blah, blah, blah. We're all going to be, windmills or whatever the hell they think. But anybody who's short from last year is now underwater. That's something I want to know about. And if you go to the mother bar of that, we took that out too. Anybody short for the last 2 years is underwater, right? That's something I'd want to know about. Also, as we start a new year, if you not only were, if you weren't necessarily short, but you're underweighted, now you're trying to get back in and reweight. And so that's what's happening there, because there's things, as a hedge fund manager, there's two things that you don't want to happen. One, you don't want the market to tank and have to answer the phone, right? The other problem you can have is missing the boat, where things start jamming, and then people are like, how come we have no energy stocks? I'm like, those are two things you don't want to happen for you.
No.
So it's the beginning of the year too, so you don't feel as bad, because so far you have a lot of time to stall your clients and say, okay, no, we're doing that now, right? We're doing that right now. We're in the process of doing that.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So when I talk about participation groups, that's what I'm talking about. What are the big boys doing? Why are they doing it? Right? Who's underwater where? Right? And because we have yearly, quarterly, monthly, all continuity to the upside, that tells me the more aggressive are the buyers. They are not shy here, right? They are buying stock, and they're buying energy stocks across the board. That's good, right? That's something we want to know about, because then we wait for like I showed you that triangle out in PXD. Be like, that's just a blip on the screen. That's their way in. That's somebody taking some profits, man. There's no real sellers in here. These guys are buying this stuff hand over fist, right? It's like, so any corrective activity is telling us that's just profit taking. There's no real sellers in here.
I agree. Yep. And I'm gonna talk to. There's a question in the chat from Kaz here. He's saying, okay, so I'm gonna take a. Slob is it is in force right now, 2-1-2 reversal to the upside. Where do I put my stops? All right, so I trade common real fast. I trade common, so it's easy for me to put my stops at. Okay, so I'm in force at 36. I actually worked. I was actually in on the monthly charts, but I want to say for the yearly, I put, you can get in at 36, and I put my stops at 29.81, because that's where I know where the low's at. That's where your stop goes. And it's easy to do that with common. Now, if you're trading options, that's a big, stop loss. He says, where do you like to put your stops for common? I know Rob has tight stops. Sarah gives them a bitter, Sarah gives them a bitter loser. I am half of the previous bar guy, unless there's a pivot in there. Yeah, I understand. So he's just talking about stops. That's where I put my stops for common. It's easy to do that with common. Now, that's a pretty big stop for options. And Rob always says the stops can always be tighter. And then the 1% stop is for the beginners. The 1% stop is for the beginners. You've been doing this for a while, Kaz. You can loosen those stops up. Now, I'm not telling you to put them way below and never put them at the bottom of the previous candles. Don't be doing this crap. You know what I mean? Don't be doing these. It's never, because then this thing goes, what if this thing goes 3? Then, I put my stops really wide, so I had a wiggle room. Now you're getting wrecked. Okay. So this is where I put my stops. The stops can always be tighter. So again, with those options traders, make them tight, make them really tight, work them. And if it goes against you, cut it immediately. the things I do with go ahead.
Yes, what I'm
Mhm,
saying is that,
mhm,
the more evidence you have that something's going to work, the
mhm,
looser you can be.
mhm.
So, a common problem for a lot of people is that they'll spend their weekends going through charts and saying, "Well, here's my 2 best ideas." I'm like, I'm like,
Mhm.
ideas, and I was like, no, I'm like, because you'll hear me and on the headset when I'm like on Tuesday, hey Rob, the market going down? No way. I'm like, no.
Mhm.
And when you have the simultaneous breaks, that's much higher level probability. And Thursday, hey Rob, you think they're going to bounce off the lows? No. No. Everything's a 2-2 reversal of downside, right? So the
Mhm.
higher level of probability you have, so the loser you can put your stop. But a lot of people aren't that patient and saying like, okay, so everything in the world that has oil is up, and you think it's going down? No, no, that's not going to happen.
No.
Right? It's not going to happen.
Oh
So,
man.
so you can loosen your stop there and be like, a lot would have to go wrong to get stopped out. Right? It was like everything would have to reverse hard, and it could happen, but as we've seen over and over and over again, that when you have a high concentration of signals in the same direction in any given day or any given sector, that more often than not, they don't even come close to reversing. So,
Hmm. Yeah, I'm looking for some questions from Michael here. Looks like people in the chat are are jumping on his questions, which is good. Hey, Michael, you know who you are out there. Michael, throw your question in at the bottom if you got any questions specifically for Rob. And again, everybody in the chat, I'm glad you're working with these other traders in here on basics. But Michael, throw your question in at the bottom, and then let me give it to Rob, and then everybody in the chat. Give me a second here. You guys are doing great. You guys are doing great out here. Everybody in the chat. Rock, I see you out there. You're doing great, man. He's had Rock was trying to figure it out, didn't know what was going on, and he just stuck at it. Just stick with Rob. Did some paper trading, and now he's had a pretty good week last week, and hopefully he's keeping them stops tight and keeping that profit. So next week he can keep going. Michael, put it in the chat, and then let me have it to give it to Rob. Michael's doing really well. He's in the SIPR group with you, Rob, and he's doing well. But he needs help creating winning positions. Lisa says, yep. All right, so we're gonna keep going. Michael, give me a specific question in the chat for Rob, and then I'll give it to Rob. Okay, here we go. He says he's confused on the back way. Oh, okay. Okay, hold on. Give me a specific question for Rob, Mike, and then Michael, and then we will give it to Rob. Give me a specific question.
because more often than not,
Mhm.
the problem is communication. And I
Okay.
know that it sounds like I'm busy all day. I am, but
Mhm.
I never want people to feel like I'm too busy to answer a question. I can't teach all day, but it's, and even if it's not me, just throwing something out there, the community is so good that if you say, I'm thinking about doing this, and somebody knows a reason why you should not, they will tell you right away,
Yeah.
right? They will tell you. One of the things about the strat that I love is that you can't help tell somebody if you know that they're misdoing it. You can't, even if you forego your own trading, you're like, no,
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's like, like you can tell, Vortex and like looking at only two, shorter time
Yep.
frames and
Mm-hmm.
all that kind of stuff. There's your DraftKings too.
DraftKings, yeah. I'll split up DraftKings waiting on Michael's question. Everybody keeps asking me, is DraftKings a buy? And I'm like, this is last week in the weekend shift. I'm like, look at this 2-2 reversal down on the year. On the year, I'm gonna try and bottom pick this thing, and the magnitude for this thing is $11. Give me a break.
Yeah, right.
Now, if you want to short something, that's fantastic. But I'm going to go long this thing. So then I showed the quarterly charts. Look at this thing. Red means sell. They are dumping this thing. And the monthly charts, still dumping it. And then last week, all right, we saw a hammer. And I said, okay, all right, guys.
If you can take that out, then we'll talk.
If we take this out, and I said, if And that's what I love about the strat. If we take out 28, 46, I am in. I'm going to work it with you guys. Possible pivot machine gun to the upside, but we don't predict. If it goes, bam, I'm punching it right in the face. Did it go? People in the chat, did it go? Did it go?
No.
I'm gonna wait. Rob knows. I know. I can't help it. Like you said, it's itchy. You can't talk. You can't not say it. No, it did not go in force. And what I mean by in force is here's the hammer. As soon as it trades above that is in force. It didn't do it. I'm not touching it. I'm not losing capital. And and it didn't really take out the lows for shorting this thing. There we go. Now everybody's freaking out in the chat. Everybody's all these no's. Someone said, hell no, it didn't take out nothing. I'm not taking this out. So again, it goes back to macro charts. I like to check out the macro charts because I know on a larger time frame what is actually happening. And are there buyers in here? So Mike says, Mike actually was in here. He says, why trade OIH when it is inside year and quarter? No, OIH is not inside year and quarter, Mike. Let's go back to it. So OIH, one more time. Sorry, Rob. So OIH on the yearly charts, okay? Oh, it's inside. Okay, I see what you're saying. He's saying, okay. I see what he's saying. He's saying, okay, why would I trade OIH? It's inside on the year. I'm gonna let you have it, Rob. I'm gonna let you have it.
All right, because of continuity, right?
Okay.
Everything's green, year, quarter, month, all that kind of stuff. So if it's not going to be inside, that's the condition it's going to be in. If it's going to take that inside bar out, you also have that simultaneous break and everything else, right? So also, if you look at monthly charts, you'll see that almost everything's a 2 up.
Yeah.
Right. And so if you're going to break that inside year, that's what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
Right. That you've got your monthlies on a simultaneous break. So that's where, you'll hear me use the analogy is it's like trading should be like playing pool. You don't just knock the ball into the pocket. You have to leave the cue with another shot. And if you can do that, this is like the monthly and be like, all right, I'm gonna knock the monthly in, and leave myself the yearly break. Right now that I get the yearly break, then we can really pour it on, right? Because we have every reason to believe that's going to work. When you look at everything across the other, the XLE and all that kind of stuff is already working. We have every reason to believe that that's going to be getting taken out, right? And if it's not, we're going to have something go against us first. But if we don't have that, we're going to take that out. And then you got all year to go after that. So we're just continually, and that's why the macro list video comes out every month, is we want to see each day how much that energy sector inside year to the upside grows. Or even just two to the upside, right? If that list keeps growing, we have every reason to believe it would continue to grow. It's not going to shrink. More things are going to break. Right? Because there was a ton of inside years in the energies. So just like any simultaneous break, we continually see how high the concentration is of those signals. And the higher it is, and the great part about it is that it's yearly. So we got all year, so oftentimes you'll hear me say a simultaneous break in a 5 minute, I'm like, well, all right. It's good for teaching, but what is that going to do for me? 4.5 minutes in, but it's and so when you're with me during the day, there's a lot of things I point out as strictly as an example, and say, okay, this is what we look for on a longer time frame, and here's how it played out on a shorter time frame, like on Thursday when the market tanked on the close. We had a perfect 5 minute and simultaneous on the 5 minute Qs, diamonds, and SPY all spiked up a little bit, went inside, gave us the 2-1-2 reversal down on the it was a Rev Strat fiver, then puked, then they all went inside on the fiver, and then puked again, measured move style. And that's exactly what we look for on a longer term basis. Get in on the reversal, add on the continuation, and at that point, we had every reason to believe that was going to work. And I don't expect everybody to trade 5 minute charts, but it was perfect. It was like, because we were waiting for this total destruction on Thursday when we had the 2-2 at the end of the day.
Yeah.
A lot of people are like, well, I'm done for the day. And I'm like, no, you're not. I'm like, it's like, there's often times where the last half an hour is the best part of the day.
Mm-hmm.
If they wipe them out or they take them out on the highs, that's the best part of the day, right?
Yeah.
Where they're just scrambling. They're just scrambling and being like, all right, we want out of the poo. And I'm like,
exactly. And the last part of the day is perfect, because last Friday, if you bought puts and things like that, and you're working things as a downside on SPY and QQQ, and then here comes the last, it was a 2:30, last couple hours of the day, and it rips to the upside. Well, now your puts are losers. You know what I mean? So it's, that's where I talk about raising them stops up, but just in case it flips the other side on you. But and take your profit. But looking at the macro charts, Ford, I've been saying it. I said it all year last year. No one, you were with me, Rob. Your grandpappy's going up. You're with me because it's there. Hammer enforced. I said it all last year, and now this year everybody's talking about Ford. Oh, did we know about that? We did. Go look at all my tweets. Go look at all the videos. 2-2 continuation on Ford. So just to bring it back to someone in the chat put, how do we know which one's so Rob is talking about it and trying to sum it up for a question in the chat. How do we know which ones are we looking to go? How do we know which ones are going to work? So which trades are going to work? Well, we're going to go for the ones that have the highest probability. Anytime Ford is full time frame continuity on the month, the weekday, and the 60, I'm jumping in on Ford. If Ford is green on the weekday and the 60, I'm jumping in on Ford, because it's green on the year. They're buying this stuff on the year. The buyers are more aggressive. And then we can go through the macro charts if you want, Rob. We can go down.
One of the things too is that when you have a yearly, quarterly, something like that in force, and basically, I don't think I've ever used this analogy before, but basically what we're doing is, as I showed you in PXD, is we are buying a reversal, kind of like somebody jumping on a trampoline. And so when they jump down and start going back up, right, we bet on them to go up. And when you have time frame continuity and everything working, they might go to the moon, right? They might just keep going. They might not come down, right? And so if gravity takes hold and they start coming back down, we just get out. But if they don't, it's like, right, Tubby Lumpkins goes boom, boom, gone, right? And and so that's why we like the simultaneous breaks for the probability, and say, well, it's a high concentration of energy, so we can focus on that and say, okay, well, by the end of the year, I only want the strongest, mightiest oil company in my portfolio, and that's all you'll have if you don't get stopped out. So that's why we like the simultaneous break so much. And that's why you'll hear me preach patience so much and say that, like I said, last week on Tuesday, almost everything was a 2-2 reversal to the upside. Every reason to believe that's going to work. We can go after, and then I break it into the sectors, and obviously it was going to be energy. And then tech was the tech wreck on Thursday. Almost everything's a 2-2 reversal down. And you just wait for that kind of stuff, right? Where, people get thoroughly confused. And then if you, like we said at the very beginning, if you go to the weekly chart, it looks like the SPY and Qs did nothing, right? But we know they went up and they went down, and we knew when they would do that. So being patient, they're going to triangle them out. We know that. There will be corrective activity. We wait for it. And then we just ride the wave once you're in. Say, okay, if I don't have a reversal against me, there's no reason to get out, right? Outside of me being bored, right? And that's why people get out. I'm like, it's not doing anything. I'm just going to sell it. It's like, well, it's doing something. It's like the guys who are on the wrong side, right? It's so there's that. And also watching the videos, listening to me, checking in with me to make sure and say, well, what about this, Rob? I'm like, because I may call it off. I might be like, nah, it's like, here's your problem. You got exhaustion risk. You might get bored, or every reason to believe that's going to work. Full throttle. Let's go. Right. And then a matter of, what else are we going to do? Are we going to protect it with options? Are we going to press it with options? Are we going to you just stick with the common? What are we going to do here? And that's where I come in handy and be like, all right, now we got Rob. What he say? Like he say,
do what he say.
say still good. It's still good. And like, but I see money and I want to take it. I'm like, nope, still good.
Still good. Still good. Heck yeah. Let's see here. Yeah, so yearly charts. America, everybody keeps trying to buy airlines. I got a shooter on the inside. This thing's closer to going 2-1-2 reversal down on the year. Airlines, you got anything to say about airlines? They keep talking about it.
That would be a continuation, actually, because it was a 2-1.
Continuation. Yep. Yeah. Sorry about that.
So there's a lot, as I said in the macro video to start off, there's a lot of the pandemics inside years. And so the thing is, they could go inside year because they're doing nothing. So we need, like I said, to see over the course of the year, what do they do with these things? So if I start to see a bunch of airlines and cruise lines and all the restaurants and hotels and stuff like that start to take 2 and up on the year, that would be another wave up for us. So that's kind of like that, because we know like Boeing, all the pandemic names are just inside years. Yep. And so, as you can see in the Carnival Cruise, you got this huge mother bar. How are you going to get out of that?
Let me go back to that.
Boeing, they're all like that. They're huge. Even if you do take the year, how are you going to get outside of the pandemic range? Yeah. Right. So over time, they will, but how long that's going to take is a whole nother story. Because if you look at like meme stocks like GameStop.
I didn't even put GameStop in here.
Boy.
It's so dumb. You look at this thing and you're like, obviously, look at that.
How are you going to get outside of the last year's range? How are you going to do that? You ain't never going to do that. And if anything, they'll tell you, like, I like how these charts have -50 and -100.
Hold on. Wait. Hold on, Dick. Oh, we're not doing it right, Rob. We're supposed to be sitting in here. Here's my daily charts. I'm supposed to be looking for a head and shoulder. Okay, there's a inside quarter, inside channel distribution level. I'm supposed to be doing this, talking all these crazy things on the daily charts, and only look at dailies. And then you go to the yearly and you're like, hold on a minute, let me zoom it in. This thing is dead in the middle of last year. Shut up. Don't tell me about any kind of, crazy, theory you got, because it's inside on the year. If anything, see you next year, GameStop. It's this thing.
See you in a decade, unless it goes to zero.
In a decade.
That might not even be enough. I mean, because price discovery is going to start over again, or reality sets in and it plummets and goes down and takes out the lows. But
and now and that's what's sad about some of these guys. I mean, who bought this thing at 484 and this thing's going to 2000 and just making up numbers? And I understand, the apes got in there and they were screwing some people, hedge funds.
Ja Rule.
But when those things happen, you push your stops up and you get stopped out of profit. I honestly, I think I see the same thing in DWAC.
And it's still it drops back. So there's but there's good trading opportunities in here. It still moves around. You just got to take it, because you just take the profits, because we can expect it to go back and forth, which it has. Yeah. And the monthly has been great. I mean, if you just followed the monthly, because we knew you were going to get stuck in here after last January. There's no way you're getting out of there. But there's been a lot of nice moves. And so just being aware of that, saying, okay, well, Rob said, don't trade inside bars. I'm like, well, the longer the time frame, the more you can, because you can still have, you might have an inside month, but, you also might have a 50-point range in there. So it doesn't mean you can't trade it. You just have to be aware of it.
Yep. And 2 questions from Rock. Do you guys recommend having stop orders in place?
Yes.
Yep. Thank you. So hard stop.
Ask the Netflix guys on Friday.
Netflix.
Have your stop in. Yeah.
Have it in, because anything can happen. Netflix. Oh gosh. Now we got to see it. Now we got to see it inside year. And that's why I look at, again, like you said,
Right, because I mean, up until the end of the day, you could have stayed short, and then, ow! And if you go to the
15 minute. Let's do it. Let's do it. Oh
ow!
my gosh. Ouch.
There's why you have your stop in.
Nobody, yeah, it's just gonna keep down good. You know what I mean? I'm just gonna walk away, and I don't need to look at it anymore. And then bam, right in their face. That's where you say in their face.
In their face, because you've got an hour left on a Friday. So let's say that you got the 5:35 calls that are expiring, going to zero. Be like, there's no reason to cover those, and then boom, they go in the money.
Yeah.
I think Lauren pulled it up. Somebody actually bought the 435s or the 535s at a penny, like 2 minutes
Wow.
before the
Wow.
the news
That's the
came
stuff
out.
I need to get good at. Those stuff. I like that. Heck yeah. I got a question from Sunshine from the UK. She says she's learning to trade futures, and again, Sunshine has been doing really well with us. Learning to trade the futures. When the market opens, should I switch to the orderly? Excuse me. Should I switch to the hourly that opens at the bottom of the hour, or with electronic trading hour chart?
You can use both, but
Okay.
we prefer that. And then, as you've probably heard me speak about a lot, is that when people say I just want to trade the ES or whatever in the futures, and I'm like, well, there's a reason that I go through the 4 major averages in almost the beginning of every video, because if you're going to be trading futures, you want to be able to know, should I be trading the NASDAQ? Should I be trading the Dow? Whose strength and weakness is in there, right? As opposed to just trying to pound out the ES all day, because you've got the liquidity because you're trading the futures. But, oftentimes, I'm constantly monitoring that and being like, Qs are the problem here. So if there's a down move, that's where you want to be. Diamonds are your strength, right? If we start going up, you want to go there. Or they're all trading very similar, all trading the same. So that's where I advise people when they're trading the futures, keep up the 4, right? And monitor who's the strength and weakness just out of the 4, just like we're doing with, all the sectors and stuff like that, because that'll tell you where you want to be. Do you have, one could be a 2-2 reversal on the day, the other could be inside on the day, right? That's something I'd want to know about and be like, all right, I want to go here because this is my 2-2. Or like on Thursday, with the NASDAQ having a high concentration of 2-2 reversal to the downside. So on Thursday, I would be wanting to trade NQ to the short side, right? They all would have worked, but NQ is going to be your winner.
Yep.
Your biggest winner.
Yep. I agree. And a lot of people took going back to Michael real quick, and I know we're going to wrap it up. Going back to Michael, a lot of people talked to us, helped them out in the chat. Again, that's awesome. That's another part of this community that we all help each other out. That's great. I'm going to sum up some of his questions that he had to me. So, okay, Rob, and I'm asking from his perspective. Okay. I'm in the chat. I'm with you. I'm in the chat. Rob keeps saying OIH to the highs. Let's just say slob, SLB, slob to the highs. Okay. And then you start saying slob to the highs, Microsoft, you know what I mean, inside, and then let's just say Netflix to the lows. Okay. I'm okay. So slobs to the highs, and I am. How do I create a winning position? Okay, so Rob says slob to the highs, and that's all he says. How do I create a winning position with that information?
Okay, so what that means is that's a statement of fact, right?
Okay.
Slob is on the highs. There's no 2 ways about that. That's a statement of fact. So what that's telling you is that the OIH trade is working right now. It's working, right? It's an exhaustion risk, but it keeps it on your radar and say, okay, now I can wait for triangle the app, right? And that might be 3 hours away, right? But I'm giving you the heads up that trade's working. And if slob's on the highs, I might want to be looking at Halliburton. I want to look at OIH, right? That's what I'm telling you, is that I'm communicating to you that the highest weighted OIHer is on the highs, right? So it sounds like you might be trying to jump around too much, right? When I get that question, because oftentimes, like when I start out, like in the first hour, I'm trying to talk my way through what's going on. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. And once I do figure out what's going on, then, we'll direct it in. The first hour, I'll be like, that's going to the highs, that's going to the lows, that's inside, blah, blah. I'm like, okay. And then once I know, you'll hear me start barking it out. So when I say it's going to the highs, the people get, oh, do I buy it now? And I'm like, no. It's like you look to buy it. You can take a look and say, I'm at an exhaustion risk. Does it have more magnitude on it? What else? And what am I comparing it to? Did Rob put it in the video? Is it in, is he reminding me of something? So
I like
oftentimes, like even in the gappers, like what I'll say is it might be like every Chinese stock or whatever in the world's gapping up, and I'll just put Bob in there. And so what I'll say when I'm going through it on the opening, I'll say BABA proxy for China. It's all of them. It's like slob proxy for OIHers, right? Stuff like that. So that's how we can communicate very quickly. And, for some people who are newer to equities, that's one of the good things about the weekend video, that I go through it sector by sector, and over time, you get to learn who is in what sector. And by looking up the members of the different ETFs, who's in there, right? So that helps too. So that's when I'm saying that on the opening, usually I'm just trying to figure out what's going on, talking through it. But during the day, when I say it, I might remind you, like, per the macro vid, OH working, slob. It's like, let them triangle the out. They will. Will.
I like that. And I want to, and this is not against you, Michael, but, and because what your question, I think Rob definitely hit it. But your question is important in the fact that I can tell when people aren't, and I don't say this against you, but I can tell when people aren't watching the videos. They're not watching the weekly vid, or they're not watching the macro or the nightly. It just say the nightly vid, because it's only 3 minutes long. And so if I watch a vid that's 3 minutes long and it has SLB in it, slob, and I know we're looking for a continuation up or a 2-2 reversal on the daily, just say, for example, to make it easy for the conversation. And I'm watching the macro, I watch this 3-minute video, and then I hear Rob say slob to the highs. And if I have my buys already in, I know what I'm looking for. I have my buys already in. Now I can hit it. Or, oh, it is working. Slob is going to the highs. Now I'm prepared. Now I'm hitting this trade because Rob said it. So and that's where I say it all fits together. So when Rob says, slob to the highs, or, like energies to the highs, you've already seen that stuff. And yes, the weekly vid does have 50 stocks in it. Yes, the micro vid does have 16 stocks in it. It does. But if you look at Rob, and he said, XLE 212 reversal of the upside on the year. So when I watch the macro vid and I watch the weekly vid, I'm only writing down those 5 or 6 stocks that he talked about in XLE, and then he moved on to finance. And then he worked, you know what I mean? So you get to, just like he said, you get to learn those sectors, and then find out and stay on the things that you want to work. So for me, for example, I was working SLB and Chevron. And then I was doing some Disney stuff. Don't get mad at me, Ralph. but definitely staying on energies. So when Rob's in the chat and he's yelling Trump stock, DWAC to the highs, that doesn't mean go jump on that, okay? Because and I didn't jump on that at all. But for the day traders that are trying to take that, they're trying to create a winning position, get stopped that profit, just take it and move on to something else. That's who Rob's talking to. And he's talking to a lot of people doing a lot of different things. So I'm listening to Rob. As soon as he starts talking about energies, I know where I'm going. What was it a couple of weeks ago, right before Christmas? People didn't know where to go. And it was easy to see they're buying cereal and insurance. We laughed about that on the chat, because I'm buying Allstate, and I'm buying daggone Mondelez,
General Mills, Kellogg's.
And it's easy to see that once you start, watching the videos, seeing the sectors, and going where the buyers are if you're going long. And then it's easy to see that. So creating winning positions when Rob says things are going to the highs, you got to watch the videos. And then for those people that are in Rob's Incepia group, there's how to use Smiths in the Black course. It's free to you. especially those people that got on for the monthlies, and all you got was the monthly subscription. That's fine because you have that course out there for you. It's free and it's only for you guys. And on Sip Your Group, what I'm saying is it shows you how to put all of the content Rob puts together in order, and you can use it. And it also has a glossary in the back for some of them Robisms. Robisms. Heck yeah. I think that's a lot of the questions in here, Rob. Did you want to, what big things? Okay, so we got the, I want to look at Palantir on the year just for fun. But any macro stuff you want to point out? Look at this. Look at this. Shut up. I think, yeah. Palantir's working with the government. Palantir's doing this. What was it? Kathy was. Yeah, I get it. I understand. But what's the price actually doing? 2-2 reversal on the year. Give me your head and it's a head and shoulders almost. Okay. Plug on the year. Shut up. Oh my goodness. Rig. Space. Oh, space. Pigs in space. Look at geez. I'm so excited to push the wrong buttons. Look at this thing. 2-2 reversal. It's about to hit magnitude. So look at that. You want to short something great. Yeah, but I don't know. I bought space hoping it was going to the moon, and it turns out space is going to Uranus. Whatever.
Yeah. Bad.
It's bad.
Well, because it's we're only 2 weeks in, things will change.
Yep.
And you're like just like we monitored the uncoupling of the monthly, weekly, daily, and 60.
Yep.
So too does macro uncouple. So right now your monthly, quarterly, and yearly openings are all the same, right?
Yep.
And once, just like anything else, that changes, right?
Yep.
So you get through the first month and be like, all right, how close are we to the next 2 in the month? How and so all that stuff matters. And like I just say, patience during the day where you might not trade for a day. It's like sometimes patience on the quarter. Be like, I don't know. It looks like they're going to chop them up, but good. And like obviously it's a quarterly charts or whatever, but we can still trade around it. But waiting for everything to line up is one of the most important things we do.
Heck yeah. I love it, man. I love it. Wells Fargo 2-1-2 reversal up on the year. That's where I want to be. That's where I want to be.
And you could have gotten that 3-1-2 to the downside first, and then you change continuity just like the energies did. You change continuity and rally back up, but you're still inside, giving you the additional signal. So
instead of sitting here getting in on Zoom, which is look at this thing.
Kathy,
death. So I don't know. I want to be where the buyers are, and that's where Rob puts you at. And so if you want to get in on Sepia Group with us, with Michael Dang, you got Strat Soldier 2022, no spaces. That's going to give you 3 months with Rob Smith himself right here, which gives you 12 power hours, which he teaches you the strat straight up for an hour. Ask him all the questions you want. It's just like this, but every Monday, 1 hour after the close, I show up to every one of them. I've been with Rob, but I for a long time, and not a long time, for some years. And I show up to everyone, and I come with a brand new, mind and fresh mind, and I listen to what Rob has to say because I know a lot, but I don't know everything, and I'm in there learning with everyone else. And yeah, I'm in there laughing at charts because the charts become hilarious once you know this stuff. But I get in there every day, every Monday on those coaching sessions, and I learn with everyone else. So Strat Soldier 2022, 3 months. That's $99 per month for 3 months. It's awesome. Get in there with him, learn what he's doing, and if you want to do more with Rob, that's a great introductory to see the room and see how he does it and get you in winning positions. And honestly, Rob, I know the universal truths are time frame continuity, actual signals, and broadening formations. But I think if there is a fourth universal truth, I want to say it's probably it's all quantitative. I know that's not the fourth universal truth. I'm just being silly. I'm saying it's all quantitative. So even if I take a trade and it goes against me, I can look back at the charts and say, okay, all right, I see what happened. There was a, this thing I went long, but then there was an outside bar on the 30 to the downside, which reversed all the continuity, and then it just dumped the rest of the day. I can go back and look at that, and I can see where I should have put my stops, which is awesome. As opposed to, well, maybe I don't have enough SMAs on my chart, or maybe I don't, maybe I was reading the RSI wrong, or maybe the MACD isn't set right. You know what I mean? Now I'm blaming other indicators. And then also with Rob and everybody in the community, they will tell you when you are in the, this is a bad trade, get out of it. And then Rob will get on the, yeah, get out of that thing, because red means sell. For, red means sell. If we know what reversals look like, we know when something's going against you, and we don't rationalize our losers. We don't go, well, it could come back, or we'll wait for this. We'll wait for these two lines to converge, and we'll see if it all lines up, and it'll come back. No. Cut it. We'll get you in there. You know what I mean? So what I'm saying is, it's all quantitative. You can go back and see what you did right, and you can see exactly what you did wrong. And that's what I love about the strat, Rob. It's right there, man. It's right there on the, we really appreciate it. We're going over 25 minutes now. This is awesome. I wanted to go just a little bit longer because you are the man, and I don't want to, you know so much about the market, 30 years in the business. Same thing with JJ, and it's a wealth of knowledge, and we've never had this before. Honestly, we've never had this before, and I love it, Rob. Thank you so much. What else you got? What else you got for us? Or you want to wrap it up? What do you want to do?
Yeah, we can wrap it up. I got to get the weekend vid out so I can tell you what's going to happen. We've got and get ready. It's a long weekend, which means we got a short week. We got some earnings coming out. We got to take a look at, and other than that, another important thing to do is don't waste a 3-day weekend trying to pour through charts. There's a reason I say let them open. They'll tell us, right? I mean, one of the worst things you can do is pour through charts all weekend and come in with a preconceived notion of what's going to happen, right? It's like what we want to do is look at where the concentration of twos begin to happen on the weekly that are going to reconfirm what we know about the month. We know that a lot of these weeklies are closed towards the middle of the range. That's a problem. That's going to need to change, which means that people are coming in on Tuesday probably get chopped up. And then normally when we look for a 2-2 on a Tuesday, we might be looking for the 2-2 on a Wednesday because we don't have a Monday. We're closer to a 2-2 reversal on the daily to the upside, but nowhere near taking out last week's range. So I always want to be aware of stuff like that, especially on the first day of the week, which is a Tuesday. This week just happens to be a Tuesday. That's why I say let them open, right? We don't know, right? Because even if you were to formulate a plan over the weekend, you need 3 plans: gap up, open flat, gap down. Those are 3 different plans, right? Not, I think that this is my best pick because of this. We don't know. There's nothing worse than having my buy list and then walking in the morning and seeing SPY down 80 handles, or whatever. Like, well, I guess that's not my buy idea anymore, so just let them open and enjoy the weekend and have everybody stay safe. As you know, I had some COVID for a while and it was no good. And so just stay safe on that. And, I'm not going to go into the political realm of vax, non-vax, but stay safe. Have a nice weekend. It was thanks for having me, Jermaine. It was a great day.
It's always awesome, man. I'm glad you're healthy. I'm glad you're safe, and everybody do the same. And that's awesome, man. Thank you so much. Thank you. I want to keep talking strat because it's fun, and that's another thing too. You make trading fun. It's hilarious, and once you learn this stuff, it's great.
Right, and that's why we have the forum on Sapio Group. So if you guys want to keep chatting about the strat all weekend, have at it.
Have at it. I love it. One more. So back to your point. 3 plans. Someone in the chat was like, well, the strat, it could be random. It could go anywhere, anyway. That's why Rob says 3 plans. Okay. If it goes up, this is what I'm going to do. If it stays flat, I'm going to do nothing. And if it goes down, this is what I'm going to do and that's also for, open positions as well. It all makes sense. You got to have three plans, even for your open positions. You know what I mean? If it stays flat, I'm gonna stay in this thing. If it reverses on me, I'm cutting it, taking my profits, or if it goes up, I'm gonna add. You know what I mean? So it all works. Once you learn the strat, you can do anything, and I truly 100% believe that. Thank you, Rob. Thank you so much. And this is going to be one that we're going to keep referencing over and over and over. I know we will. Thank you so much. This is the Strat Soldier with the weekend shift. Thank you so much, Rob.
All right. Everybody have a great weekend.
All right.
Tuesday morning.
All right. This is the Strat Soldier with the weekend shift. Peace.